Sword of Legends Online, or Solo for short, is a traditional buy-to-play theme park MMORPG based off of a popular Chinese series that includes a book, an RPG, a movie, and a TV series. It's part of the xianxia genre, which is a genre of Chinese high fantasy with a heavy emphasis on Chinese mythology rarely seen over here in the West. It features stunning visuals, a great story that closely follows the book, fast-paced combat, tons of both PvE and PvP content, and what may just be the best housing system since WildStar. Now the first thing I want to say is I've seen a lot of negative impressions of the game, and for good reason. As we will talk about later, the early leveling experience in this game is what we in the industry like to call hot garbage. There are a lot of reasons for this that we will discuss throughout this video, but I've seen a lot of players, especially content creators, saying how bad the game is. But make sure that anyone who says this has properly reached endgame before you just take their word for it. And if you tried the game and didn't like it, I would really encourage you to reserve judgment until a higher level, as the game gets much better once you've unlocked most of your skills and reached the more difficult content. So with that out of the way, one question a lot of players will be asking is, since it's an Eastern MMO, that means it's pay to win, right? Nope. I was very pleasantly surprised to find that while this game does feature a cash shop, it's cosmetics only, and get this, no loot box mechanics either. This is an Eastern MMO in 2021, where you just pay for a thing, and then you get that thing! Crazy idea, I know, but I seriously can't express enough how refreshing it is to be playing an Eastern MMO with no pay to win whatsoever. The cosmetics you can buy look really good too, and you can mix and match with various paid and unlockable cosmetics, allowing you to really customize your character's looks. And that brings me to my next point, character customization. The character creator is really good. It's not the best creator out there, but you do have loads of options with numerous sliders to make your character look just how you want them, including if you want to create a face that only a mother could love, like this guy, or this guy. Overall though, the character designs look really good, including the NPCs, except this little girl who never blinks. Stare into her cold, dead eyes and embrace eternity.
For the shifting sands of time wash away all until nothing is left. Not even a memory of the world that once was, and now never will be again.
The game's really pretty though. The world design really looks absolutely breathtaking. I found myself several times just turning off my HUD to take in the scenery. The environments are varied and interesting, and they all look incredible, from the floating temple in the sky known as Cloudrest to the icy peaks of the Baxian Plateau. The world design here is truly stunning. The one complaint I do have is some textures are significantly lower resolution than others, which can be really jarring sometimes. You'll find that everything looks great, then suddenly some rocks, a horse, or a monster will just pop up looking like it came straight out of a PS2 game. There isn't a lot of these, but when you do see them, they really stick out like a sore thumb and kind of ruin the game's otherwise beautiful visuals. For combat, you can choose between tab target and action combat and switch between them easily with a single button. I mainly played in action mode as that's what I prefer, and the combat feels really good. I played as a Spearmaster, and it feels extremely fast-paced, incredibly fluid, and super flashy. I will say though, that especially early on, the combat feels a bit too simple and mostly involves spamming the same few skills over and over again. This makes early leveling really boring and dull, but once you finish unlocking your skills and start getting into higher-end, more difficult content, this does get much better. The oversimplicity of early combat is a huge detriment to the game though, as the early leveling experience is really boring until you reach a higher level, which is one of the reasons the game turns away so many potential players. It's still worth it to play through though, because at max level, with all of your skills unlocked, the combat really starts to shine. It's certainly not the greatest combat system ever made, but it's far above what most MMOs offer these days. And as for the classes, there are 6 classes with 2 variations for each. There isn't a ton of build diversity within classes, but with so many options, there's bound to be 1 or 2 that will fit your playstyle. The game also does a really good job at teaching you mechanics through its skill training system, where you can enter a sort of training dimension where the game will explain your class-specific combos, rotations, and mechanics, and actually have you do them in a more controlled environment. This is a lot more helpful than most other games, which would typically just give you a wall of text to read or maybe a short video showing the skills, and really helps newer players understand their classes better without needing to refer to external guides like you may find on YouTube. And since you may not need class guides from YouTube, maybe you could watch something else instead, like perhaps videos from youtube.com/Mykah Maelstrom, who is currently engaging in shameless self-promotion within this very video. Now, on story and questing, it's actually really good as it follows roughly the same plot as the TV show of the same name. However, for players who don't care about story, the sheer amount of dialogue and cutscenes can get pretty annoying. The story does help break up the monotony, however, with fun mechanics such as transforming into a golem to run around punching baddies, or bombarding enemies from above on a big wooden phoenix, which is pretty cool. There are some localization issues though, and sometimes the quests don't properly tell you what you're supposed to do. For example, at one point I had this quest called Delectable Dish, which says to cook a cold panning of acacia leaves. So you go to the cooking station, but it doesn't show you any recipes, so you use the search bar to look for acacia leaves. Nothing comes up, so you check your inventory, and while you do have some cooking ingredients, nothing suggests it's what you need. You then talk to this food trader to maybe buy some acacia leaves, and he doesn't sell acacia leaves. So at this point, what the hell do you want from me, quest log? Oh, I got it. Maybe I just... Now thankfully, said issues only really apply to the early and mid-game quests, but there are quite a few of these, including one quest that tells you to complete a dungeon, where most people do the dungeon 2 to 5 times, before realizing that what it wants you to do is claim the dungeon reward, but it never tells you how to do so, or that you even need to. It is very possible, however, that these issues could be resolved by launch, as these localization issues are one of the main reasons for the beta test, so I really can't be too hard on it. As it is in this beta though, it just serves as another thing totally ruining the new player experience. So you finish the story, slog through this game's, and I cannot stress this enough, hot garbage leveling experience. Now what? Well, from max level, the game really opens up with there being a truly enormous amount of content available. From here, you can delve into really fun open-world treasure hunting, a wide variety of really fun, well-balanced PvP modes, open-world bounty hunts, dungeons, raids, the incredible housing system, and much more. Honestly, the way this game is structured leaves the, again, hot garbage leveling experience seeming more like an extended tutorial where max level is where the game really starts. I originally planned to talk about each of these types of content in more detail. I realized, however, if I did this video would be far too long, so if you want to know more about the different types of content, let me know in the comments section down below, and I may make a separate video detailing the different in-game activities available if there's enough interest. One thing I do want to highlight though is the housing system. While most games require you to buy most things for their housing systems in the cash shop, in this game that isn't the case. There are a few cash shop items available for housing, but there's also a huge amount of housing items obtainable in-game, and the house even includes a farming system. The farming system is used to grow the materials needed to craft loads of different furniture options and even build huge houses with extra rooms on your property. There are tons of options for this, and you're even able to lay out blueprints, so even if you don't have the required materials at the moment, you can lay out plans for all the things you want to work towards making. Having such an in-depth housing system that you actually work for instead of paying for is such a massive feature to have, and I could easily see myself sinking hours and hours into this just trying to build the perfect house to show off to my friends. So overall, if you can get past the frustrating localization issues and the boring leveling experience, I actually really recommend giving this game a shot. It doesn't do anything particularly new or unique, but almost everything it does do, it does really well. It has loads of fun PvP and PvE content, a no pay-to-win, cosmetics-only cash shop, fun minigames such as treasure hunting, and a really fun combat system. However, it also has a hot garbage new player experience, some localization issues, and a fairly cookie-cutter design, and while performance was really good on my PC, there have been reports of poor performance on higher-end rigs. For me, for the $40 price of admission, I would say this game is well worth it, as the amount of fun end-game content really makes up for the other issues. That's just my opinion though, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. Does the end-game content make up for the early leveling experience, or is it just not worth it? If you like the video, remember to sacrifice the like button to the almighty YouTube god Algorithmos, and if you want to see more, subscribe. Also be sure to check out my next video, in which I probably talk about video games. Bye!